Hi there, it's Jonathan Herbst, founder and CEO of ScaleUp GROWTH. Welcome again to my Business Focus series, where I'm chatting with owners, managing directors, founders, and business leaders of scaling companies and organizations. It centers around their entrepreneurial journey so far and their aspirations for their companies. So today I'm speaking to Giles Gunesekera. I hope I've got the pronunciation right there, Giles.
Very good.
Thank you. Founder and CEO of the Global Impact Initiative. And I'm going to start Giles a little bit differently and just congratulate Giles. In the Australia Honours list, he was appointed a member of the Order of Australia for service to social welfare in the community. So congratulations on all that hard work, Giles.
Thanks very much, Jonathan. Much appreciated.
So as we go through, maybe you can refer back to the work you've done and why the OIM, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So let's start with what do you do and for how long have you been doing it?
Yeah, so I'm the founder and CEO of Global Impact Initiative, which is a business that I founded in 2015. And the express purpose of Global Impact Initiative is to balance purpose with performance. The genesis of the business, I spent 20 plus years in funds management, but I've spent 30 plus years in the not-for-profit sector as a volunteer, as a director on a variety of not-for-profit boards, and I was getting increasingly frustrated living and working in the traditional funds management world and working in and around the corporate sector of the amount of the lack of good ideas, shall we say, but the abundance of money. But in contrasting that with the not-for-profit world, which has got fantastic ideas and very little money. And for me, impact investing was a way of putting that together. So putting that together in terms of sustainable financial return, but combining that with measurable, actionable, intentional social impact. And so the business today, Jonathan, focused on 5 key areas, what we call our 5 key impact pillars, and that's gender equality, Indigenous communities, health, housing, and climate. And we play 2 very distinctive roles. One is that we set up our own fund. So we've launched the world's first actively managed gender equality fund, women and girls, and we've partnered with a fund manager called Robeco on that particular strategy. The other part of our role is where we construct on behalf of clients impact investing strategies, and we're currently partnered with an organisation called Urella in Burwood, which is a disability service provider, and together we're partnering to build housing for people with disabilities, women escaping domestic violence, at-risk children, and also essential workers. So a blended portfolio, a blended property portfolio, which will provide support for a variety of people across the community, and with that dual focus of sustainable financial returns, but also actionable, measurable, and intentional social impact. I'm also involved in doing some in executive coaching. I facilitate a variety of programs as well across the corporate, government, and not-for-profit sectors. And as you alluded to earlier, sit on a number of not-for-profit boards, one listed company, but majority of the boards that I sit on are not-for-profit boards.
Right. And I have to say, it's a big subject, but having been a director of charities, a director of a homelessness charity, restructured charities overseas, been a fund manager, and I know the issues of setting up funds. In fact, I'm still a director of a superannuation fund now. It sounded quite simple as you were talking through what you do, but I know for a fact it's absolutely not simple. So I want to just explore. Let's talk about the Gender Equality Fund as an example. How does that work? I mean, how do I, if I was to invest, how do I get a return on my funds, and what initiatives are you investing? Just to give you one example.
Yeah, thank you. So the Gender Equality Fund, firstly, it's a fund that has it's a listed fund. So you're investing in listed companies, so it's a liquid listed portfolio. So the fund has no exposure to alcohol, gaming, tobacco, weapons, fossil fuels, and adult entertainment, as well as a range of other sectors, but they're the 6 main sectors the Global Impact Initiative as a business, does not invest in, nor do we work with or consult to. So you're investing in a portfolio that has no exposure to those sectors. We then, with our partner Robeco, a very large global fund manager, apply a gender lens to the portfolio. So what that means is we're looking for companies that are progressive to women in the workforce. So that is companies that have a high percentage of women on the board, women in senior management, family-friendly policies, parental leave, a whole bunch of quantitative and qualitative factors. We've then developed a particular unit class, so a particular version of the product whereby you as the investor receive a financial return, obviously, on that portfolio. So, for example, Unilever's in the portfolio, Unilever's share price goes up, and therefore that that means your overall portfolio, along with the other stocks that you're holding, that portfolio goes up. But we've built a particular unit class where the income from the portfolio, so for example, the dividend that Apple or Unilever pay, then goes to a collection of girls' charities that we've set up MOUs with. And those girls' charities are Malala, Brahmi, UNICEF, UN Women, and World Vision. And they've expressly been chosen, those charities, because of their focus on girls' education, health, nutrition, and or social and economic empowerment. So the income from the portfolio is going to those charities. It's not, before any money goes to those charities, we sit down with the charities. So say, for example, we've got $500,000 to distribute to the Malala Fund. We would sit down with them and say, how many girls are you going to educate? What countries, what geographies, what year levels, and work out what the social impact case is around that particular donation/investment. So it's a way of generating, returns for you as an investor through a portfolio. So that portfolio can sit in your super, it can sit, outside your super. It's got a minimum, the minimum investment is $5,000, so it's quite accessible. But also through that investment, not only are you generating sustainable financial returns for yourself or for your corporate or your foundation, whichever vehicle you choose to invest through, but you're also generating social impact for girls. And it's actually the world's first actively managed impact strategy, which is focused on both women and girls. So there's a number of strategies out there that are focused on either women or on girls. This is focused on both, and it's something that we're very proud of. It's taken a long time to get it to market, but we're very proud of the structure, and we're also proud of the fact that as an investor going into this fund, you will receive those sustainable financial returns, but also at the end of the year, you will receive a impact report which shows you the impact that you've created, all measured, mapped, and monitored to the UN Sustainable Development Goals as well.
I mean, it's totally. So I mentioned to you before we started that, I've been blessed that my wife and I were able to adopt 2 little kitties from Ethiopia, and along that journey, we took a year and a half out and worked with a number of Australian charities in Ethiopia and Cambodia. So I've seen a lot of what Grameen Foundation, particularly, which is essentially micro-lending, particularly to women. A number of these organisations do, and we still support World Vision and a number of others. And if I could throw just as a plug-in for someone that I respect enormously, a lady by the name of Tara Winkler, who founded the Cambodian Children's Trust. As Cambodian Children's Trust. She's now a UNICEF ambassador. She wrote a book called How Not to Start an Orphanage by Someone Who Did. The model that she built, I built into the Cambodian charities I was working with. And essentially it's building getting the children out of orphanages and into foster, local foster care with a educational support network, etc. The work that some of these organisations are doing are phenomenal. But
yeah, it's amazing.
The name Tara Winkler at you is a possible future beneficiary, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'd love to. Yeah.
So tell me, who are your core customers? Who's your best customer? Who are you targeting at? Is it a retail fund? How does it work?
It's a variety, Jonathan. So it's, our customer base is pretty much anyone that wants to invest or can invest. So which means pretty much takes in all working Australians because everyone has super and is able to invest. But predominantly, at this stage, private banks, family offices, foundations, super funds, are all customers or potential customers. But really, our customers are ones that are innovative, they're forward-looking, they believe that, sustainability, ESG is the way forward. It's part of their business, it's part of their investment. But they also care about, their communities and care about the planet. And because our business is exclusively focused on impact investing, everything that we do has that dual focus of sustainable financial returns, but also the creation and acceleration of social impact.
Okay, great. So essentially, an investor just says to their financial advisor, I want to put money here.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the process?
Absolutely. Yeah. Or an organisation like Irrelevant Disability Services or a charity could, come to us and say, can you help us set up an impact fund? A superannuation fund may come to us and say, Global Impact Initiative, you're the only impact investing business in the world that is a UN lead company. We'd like to partner with you on the impact investing strategy, or we'd like you to measure the social impact of what we're doing. So pretty much anything in the impact investing space we can do, from writing policies to the actual implementation of those policies through our own products or through the creation of bespoke products for clients.
Oh, great. Right. So let's sort of focus more on the business side. We've all been through the pandemic. We're coming out of it, inshallah.
Yeah.
What actions did you take in the pandemic that have stayed with the business going forward?
Yeah. Pre-pandemic, our team worked remotely anyway. So we've got a global team. We had already been using Zoom and Teams and all those various platforms. So there was very little change from a day-to-day operation perspective. The pandemic, however, taught us to really interrogate our business, to really ensure that that we're serving our customers to the best of their ability, but also taking into account, and this sounds really intuitive and simplistic and, should be a given, but really making sure that we were serving them in the way that they wanted to be served. It also helped us as a business to ensure that, we continued to prioritize and focus on those things that matter. And we saw, from our own clients, they being very, very focused and very, very timeful, the majority of them during the pandemic, because they were balancing, their work, their family life, sickness, illness, people in hospital, elderly, shopping, groceries, all that sort of thing. Yeah, they were all, juggling, at the same time. And, there's that saying that, we got to see what was truly behind our staff and our clients during the time of the pandemic, because we actually got to see the behind of them. And that was, children in the background, kitchen tables, what their study looked like, what their bedroom looked like. So, we truly got to see what was behind. So the prioritization and the focus was really important learning for us as a business, and obviously, utilizing that to then help our clients.
Okay. So what does the future look like for you, and where do you see the major challenges going forward?
Yeah, I'm an eternal optimist, Jonathan. I'm always going to be very positive about the future. I do see big opportunities for investors and corporates to really forge their own path by being more innovative, being diverse, being inclusive, and looking for those innovative solutions. This is not just me being an eternal optimist. We've seen it where through Europe as an example. European investors and corporates don't talk about ESG anymore. It's already done. So they're already moving on to the next phase. So ESG, environment, social governance, that's the bedrock of what they do. And now they're looking at how do we be more impactful. We're hoping also, to move to a world where we truly do embrace diversity. Sadly, here in Australia, we've got one of the most multicultural populations in the world, but it's still not represented in the business community. It's represented a little bit through the not-for-profit world, a little bit better. Gender equality is, as you've already heard, is a big passion of mine. Having been a volunteer of Amnesty International for 32 years, I've worked on lots and lots of strategies, campaigns, and initiatives to support women, and particularly to promote women and to promote gender equality. But we really need to move beyond that now to ensure that our workplaces, our environment, our government, our not-for-profit do represent a lot better the multicultural nature of the Australian community.
Yeah. As you've heard, I'm a great supporter having an African adopted daughter. I'm very supportive there. What do you think has been your biggest learning as a business owner?
Outsource the things that you don't like doing or that you don't want to do and don't make you money, and focus on what's important. So really ensure, as a business owner, that you're as close to the customer as you possibly can, because that's the way that you add value.
That's a great point. I call that focus on your unique ability that you're really good at and the thing that you're passionate about.
Absolutely.
And outsource, as you say, to other people with other unique abilities, everything else.
Yeah. And always, it's always very evident to me personally, but also with, some of the clients that I work with, your energy level always goes down when you're doing tasks that are not important or not important to you. So, if you find your energy level going down because you've got to do your books or you've got to send an invoice, that means that those activities, while important to the business, are not important to you, as a person, and they don't give you joy. So, focus in on those activities that, give you that energy, give you that joy, and ultimately, push the business forward.
It's interesting you say that. I'm sitting here today, spending most of the day flow charting out a number of business processes, and then behind that putting SOPs and checklists behind them for a couple of key pieces that not my unique ability that I'm going to outsource. But a hard part about a lot of this is actually getting the time and making the time to actually put the system together to outsource it. Because it is not something that you need to put the time and effort into it.
Yeah, exactly right.
I'm interested in this next question for you. When you think of the word successful, who pops to mind and why?
Oh, definitely Nelson Mandela. He's a man who overcame adversity to be a leader of not only South Africa, but to be a global leader, to be that beacon of symbol of, and that beacon and symbol of hope for people all around the world, for marginalized communities, for Black and brown people, all over the world. And he really taught us that very important lesson that hate is not sustainable. He could have easily lived the rest of his life, hating people that imprisoned him, hating the people around him, hating the system. And he actually took the reverse approach. He loved his captors. He took learning, and from that time that he had in prison, but also upon being leader of South Africa and then obviously being a global leader, thought about change. So he's a inspirational leader in so many ways, to me and to so many people.
Yeah, I agree. And the fact that he was able to forgive the way he did, extraordinary, which is the point.
Absolutely.
So are you a reader? Do you listen to podcasts? Are there any you'd recommend?
I'm a big fan of podcasts. I do spend probably about half an hour, or probably about an hour or each day traveling, and really, or on the days that I do travel into the city, into the office, and really enjoy that time. When I'm exercising, I'm also listening to podcasts or audiobooks. So you have a regular listener of the Squiz, 7 a.m., Fear and Greed, which are kind of my daily news kind of current affair podcast. Also like Planet Money, Freakonomics, TED Talks Daily, for that innovation, that inspiration, just to get the brain thinking a little bit differently. And shameless plug, Jonathan, I am a author in this book. I'm a pastor in this book, Mastering the Power of You. Very interesting story behind this book. I was fortunate enough to go to Oxford in 2013, and I attended an advanced management leadership program, which still to this day is a life-changing educational experience for me. It was 35 people, 26 nationalities, 19 different industries, and an age group of 35 to 65. So as I refer to it, it was a diversity on steroids experience, because not only do we have diversity in the room, we utilize that diversity to make decisions and to learn from each other. So there's 32 chapters in this book, all on a whole variety of different topics, from everything from my topics on impact investing, but there's topics on purpose, on living your mission, leading with purpose, resilience, a whole variety of different, what you would practically refer to as self-help topics, but very value aligned topics are written by people that have lived experience. So very practical, tiny little bit of theory, but mostly practical, examples and experience of people with lived experience, and subject matter experts. So it's a great book that I'll admit I haven't read my whole way through it, but it's been a great read so far. Another really great book is Let Her Fly, which is Zodine Yousafzai, which is who is the father of Malala Yousafzai, and she was a Nobel Peace Prize winner. As you may recall, she is an advocate of girls' education. She was shot in the head by the Taliban at the age of 13 or 14, survived, won a Nobel Peace Prize, and has recently graduated from Oxford. It's the book by her father, which talks a lot about the ways that he has empowered women, and particularly girls to do what they do. And he's a big proponent of girls' education. He's a teacher himself. Really, what I really love about it is that it's important for women to talk about gender equality and to ask for it. But it's equally important for men to be involved in that conversation, and more importantly, to allow that to allow that to happen, to get out of the way and allow that to happen. So he's a great advocate for gender equality. He's got a daughter who has a Nobel Peace Prize as a result of his guidance and his wisdom, but ultimately providing that environment for his daughter and lots of other daughters to be free and be educated, which we take for granted in a place like Australia, but in a place like Pakistan and other parts of the world, girls are not able to be educated and not able to receive an education.
Yeah. And it's an extraordinary story. And yet his reaction to what happened to his daughter was extraordinary.
Yeah.
A book back at you.
Yes.
If you haven't read it, read a book called Half the Sky. Half the Sky.
Okay.
By Nicholas Kristof, spelled with a K.
Mm-hmm.
And Cheryl Wu Dunn. They're both Pulitzer Prize winning authors.
Mhm.
And I discovered this when I was we had adopted our first daughter from Ethiopia, and we're in Dubai. And it just turned out for the first 4 months, I was the home parent. And with a little baby girl, it was what am I going to do? And I'd be sitting at lunchtime watching, God help me, watching Oprah. And she interviewed these authors, and Half the Sky is, I'm just looking at the cover, turning oppression into opportunity for women worldwide. So it's essentially saying, you give money to men. In poor countries, a lot of it gets drunk, alcohol and pissed away. And it leads to abuse. You give money to the women. This is where the Men Foundation and Co come in. To build micro businesses, the whole community, the country will flourish. It's a phenomenal book. So that's a good one to throw back.
No, thank you. Yeah, I'll definitely look that up.
Yep. So listen, any last piece of advice or parting words to entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs out there?
Yeah, follow your passion. Life's too short to settle. It's too short to be mediocre. Just really focusing on what your passions are. I've been really fortunate in that I've been able to meld my two worlds of, my knowledge and love of the business world and the investment world, but also, the passion and impact of the not-for-profit world, and being able to, meld that into a business. Pave the path that you want to walk down is also something that I'd like to leave with people. And one of my favorite African proverbs is anyone who thinks they're too small to make a difference hasn't spent the night with a mosquito. And it really encapsulates that notion that we all have a part to play. We all have a role. We're all treading this earth at exactly the same time. These small little changes that we make as individuals can make a massive difference.
Great advice. Firstly, interesting. I listened to Tim Costello speak some years ago, and he was talking about they were in a bus in Africa, and a tree had fallen across the road, and they couldn't turn around, they couldn't go forward, and suddenly out of the bush, this a villager appeared, and he motivated everybody through chanting, etc., to move this tree that they thought was unmovable. And this one man just appeared out of nowhere and then disappeared entirely. How they can change as individual situation or the world for that matter.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's see, Giles, thank you so much. How do people find you? I'll put links in the podcast. But how do they? What's the best way to make a difference via you?
Yeah, please visit our website, globalimpactinitiative.com.au, and feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn as well. Happy to connect. Happy to talk further.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for yours, Jonathan.